The golden couple of the Cornhusker state has quietly fractured, and no one saw it coming. Laura Farms, the bright, confident face who brought millions of people into the world of American agriculture, now stands at the center of a mystery thick enough to cut through with a harvest blade. Her husband, Grant Wilson, has vanished from her channel without explanation, and the wedding ring that once sat proudly on her finger has disappeared entirely. People online have theories, wild ones, messy ones, unbelievable ones, but the truth hiding beneath the surface is far heavier than any rumor. It's a story woven through a hidden past, a reckless decision, and a secret that has been eating Grant alive for nearly a decade. And the heartbreak unfolding now is only the beginning. On the surface, Laura and Grant Wilson seemed built straight from the blueprint of the American dream. A young couple stepping into a life rooted in land, legacy, and labor. Laura, a fifth-generation farmer from Nebraska, exploded into fame almost overnight. In her mid-20s, standing around 5'7", with a natural ease behind million-dollar farm machinery, she captivated audiences around the world. Her channel didn't just grow, it erupted into a digital empire. Hundreds of thousands, then millions of people followed her as she turned the heartbeat of American farming into something modern, engaging, and genuinely cool. What many didn't realize was the sheer scale of the operation she and her family ran. This wasn't a cute hobby farm with a handful of garden beds and a few friendly animals. This was thousands of acres, vast fields stretching farther than the camera could see. The combines, the tractors, the planters, that was real money, real machinery, and real work. She made farming look beautiful, powerful, and somehow effortless. And standing beside her, especially in those early videos, was Grant Wilson. When Laura and Grant got engaged and married in December of 2020, the internet celebrated as if they were royalty. Grant, a handsome, soft-spoken man with a love for dirt bikes and the outdoors, looked like the perfect partner for her. Their wedding photos radiated joy. They seemed solid, grounded, and completely in sync. Fans loved him instantly. He had a steady, grounded presence next to Laura's bright, confident energy. Together, they weren't just tending fields. They were building a brand that felt like the heart of America. But over time, something began to shift, slowly at first, then unmistakably. The smiles on social media felt tighter. The warmth between them dimmed, just enough for longtime fans to notice. And those fans, who pay attention to every detail, picked up on changes others missed. Grant appeared on camera less frequently. When he did, he seemed distracted, his expression shadowed by something unspoken. It was subtle, but it was there. And then came the moment that sent the rumor mill into a frenzy. Laura stopped wearing her wedding ring. People tried to explain it away. Farm work is dangerous. Machinery can catch on jewelry. Everyone knows that. But this wasn't a one-time thing. Video after video, her hand remained bare. And in the silent court of online speculation, a missing ring speaks louder than any confession. Suddenly, the perfect life they had shown the world began to feel like a carefully staged photograph with cracks spreading through the frame. The questions started soft, then grew louder. Is this the end for Laura and Grant? Why has he disappeared from the channel? Why does she look exhausted? Why does he look haunted? The silence from the farm only amplified the noise. Fans began digging, rewinding videos, analyzing every gesture and every moment. They noticed Laura filming alone, more often than not, and a quiet sense of loneliness grew around her content. It felt like she was carrying not just the weight of the farm and her online empire, but an emotional burden no one could see. The loudest theory was divorce. It made sense. Fame adds pressure. Farming is brutal. Content creation is relentless. Maybe the perfect couple was simply breaking under the weight of it all. But the divorce rumor didn't fully explain the change in Grant. The gauntness in his face, the tension in his posture, the way he seemed to fade out of his own life. That's when the next theory hit. Illness. The word cancer began appearing next to his name. People searched for it so frequently that Laura Farm's husband, Cancer, became a trending phrase. The idea broke hearts. It explained his disappearance, his appearance, and the heavy sadness lingering in their videos. Fans offered prayers, messages of hope, messages of grief. People convinced themselves that Laura was carrying the farm alone because Grant was fighting for his life behind the scenes. For a moment, it felt like the most compassionate explanation. Tragic, devastating, but believable. Yet secrets have a way of twisting themselves into simpler shapes when viewed from far away. The truth, however, often cuts much deeper. What if the sickness wasn't in Grant's body at all? What if the real disease was guilt, regret, a memory so heavy it could crush a man over time? No doctor could diagnose the truth because the truth had nothing to do with hospitals or medicine. It was buried deep inside a chapter of Grant's life he hoped would never see daylight again. A chapter written long before he ever met Laura. The whispers of divorce and illness were just smoke. The real fire was something far darker, tied to a reckless decision he made in another world, another life. Before Grant became the quiet, steady farmer standing beside a YouTube star, he was someone entirely different. Friends from his past describe a younger Grant who lived for thrill and adventure, someone who didn't yet understand the weight of consequences. A decade ago, he traveled with a group of friends to a private Caribbean island known among a small circle as Isla Purida, the Lost Island. It was a place with no rules, no responsibilities, and no accountability. A playground for wealthy young men with too much time and too little guidance. For 1 week every year, the island transformed into a blur of lavish parties, risky decisions, and behavior that belonged nowhere near the calm, grounded life Grant later built in Nebraska. It was during his third visit that everything changed. He and a few friends were drawn into a high-stakes investment scheme pitched by a charismatic figure they met on the island. It promised impossible returns, funneling money through offshore accounts and untraceable routes. It was reckless, greedy, and unbelievably tempting. Grant, younger and far more impressionable, dove in. Worse, he convinced several of his friends to do the same. But the scheme was a trap. The money, nearly $250,000 between all of them, vanished overnight. The mysterious figure disappeared, and the fallout tore the friend group apart. Accusations, betrayals, broken trust. One of Grant's closest friends lost everything, his entire life savings, and fell into a spiral of despair that led to devastating consequences months later. Grant carried that weight with him. To him, it wasn't just money that disappeared on that island. It was innocence, friendship, a piece of his soul. When he fled that life and returned to Nebraska, he vowed to bury the memory forever. He rebuilt himself. He embraced the discipline of farming. He met Laura. He became someone new. But the island's shadow followed him, and the secret he carried began to rot from the inside. The man fans see today is not the cheerful, carefree husband seen in early videos. The change has been slow, like erosion wearing down a stone. The guilt he tried so hard to forget became a silent sickness, not one that weakens the body, one that eats the mind. He became withdrawn, quieter. He avoided gatherings and cameras. He preferred isolation, drifting to the edges of their land where no one could reach him. Friends noticed his paranoia. He scrubbed his old social media, deleted photos, erased connections to anyone who knew the truth. Every unfamiliar comment online became a threat, every new follower a potential reminder of the life he left behind. He wasn't living, he was hiding. And that pressure, that unbearable internal weight, is what people mistook for illness. The cancer theory wasn't entirely wrong, it was simply misdiagnosed. The disease wasn't attacking his body. It was regret, fear, and the past he couldn't escape. This secret created a wall between him and Laura. She could feel something was wrong, any partner would, but he refused to share the truth. And over time, that unspoken burden became a barrier they couldn't cross. It wasn't anger or betrayal pulling them apart. It was silence. Painful, suffocating silence. Laura's missing ring may not be a sign of abandonment, but rather a symbol too heavy to wear. A reminder of vows they made in innocence before the ghost of Isla Purita crept into their lives. So when you step back and see the full picture, everything aligns. The missing ring, the distant smiles, the lonely videos, the vanishing husband. They aren't random clues. They are the symptoms of a single secret that has been slowly unraveling a marriage. The rumors of divorce grew from the emotional distance created by Grant's haunted memories. The whispers of illness grew from the exhaustion of a man trying to outrun his past. And now, after nearly a decade, that past is catching up to him. Laura is trapped in an impossible dilemma. She is fighting to protect her farm, her brand, and the man she loves, even as he quietly falls apart. If she reveals the truth, their entire empire could collapse. If she stays silent, the lie may swallow them both. The harvest season is approaching, and with it, the moment where truth and consequence finally meet. What they reap now may not be corn or soybeans. It may be the price of a secret buried for far too long. What happens next rests on Laura's shoulders. Will she protect what remains, or finally break free from the lie that threatens to destroy everything? Let us know your thoughts below, and if you want more stories hiding just beneath the surface, don't forget to like and subscribe for the next one.